They say technology makes our lives easier for work, to learn, to travel, to communicate. But there are things that machines cannot yet do. Things as important as engaging, putting themselves in your shoes, having intuition, or making intelligent decisions. In an increasingly technological world, we need professionals who provide intelligent solutions based on their know-how. Because there are things that technology cannot yet do for you. The human tech.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're going to talk today about the Golden Visa. It's a hot topic that, as you could be imagining, we've been hearing on the news about the possibility of removing some requirements of the Golden Visa. And we are delighted to share our thoughts with you and the people in the panel. Let me introduce you here. I have on the right-hand side, I have Pedro Heredia, international lawyer. Hello, Pedro.
Hello, Ignacio. Hello, everyone.
Then on the other part, in Alicante province, we've got Jose Ramón. Hello, Jose Ramón. Can you hear me?
Hello to everybody. It's a pleasure to meet you again.
Thank you. And in the south part of Spain, we've got Michael Davies. Hello, Michael.
Hello, everyone.
Well, thank you very much for the three of you taking time today to discuss with the public, with the audience, about all the ins and outs about the Golden Visa. We've been very, I'm sure, even Michael as well, Pedro, Jose Ramón and myself, we've been very busy with all these hot topics. And suddenly the government in Spain just announced about the possibility or the fact that they would like to remove some of the requirements for the Golden Visa, in particular about property purchase. I'm going to pass over to Pedro so he could start explaining to us what is the Golden Visa and where we are as the law stands today. It's very important for you to know that the law hasn't been abolished, hasn't changed. Everything is the same as it used to be in the old days. So there hasn't been a modification at the moment in the law. But Pedro will explain to you, for those of you who are still willing to lodge your Golden Visa, and as long as the law doesn't change, what do you need to do, whether you could do it or not, etc., and the requirements about the Golden Visa. Over to you, Pedro.
Okay, thank you very much, Ignacio. Let me just make a brief introduction about what the Golden Visa is, and let's go through the declaration that has been made by the Pedro Sánchez, by the Spanish president, and what we find out about those declarations and what is happening today. Because those words were said some days ago, and now what is happening right now. Okay, Golden Visa. Golden Visa is a visa because of an investment. Most, I would say that 95% of visas made by an investment, given by an investment, are because has been done an investment on property. But could be property, could be bank deposit, could be investments on funds, could be shares of company, could be Spanish public debt, and could be also entrepreneur investment on a project like has an impact on employee or a social and economic impact on an area. There are different investments that can be done and also obtain a visa because of this. Let's focus on the investment on property. It is the lowest one right now, which is the minimum investment is 500,000 euros. Let's say free of charges. There is no, it's just someone who invests really 500,000 euros on property or properties. That is important to say because it's not just, it's been said in the news that if you buy a property over 500,000 euros, well, you could also buy 5 different properties of 100,000 euros each one, or you could buy one property of equal or more than 500,000 euros. That's okay. Well, basically gives you the authorization to be resident in Spain for 3 years and then renewal on 5 years, and so on. If you apply once you are here in Spain, or if you do it in a Spanish consulate is a visa for 1 year, and then the authorization for residency is 3 years plus 5 years plus 5 years. Okay, so what is the president has said, and what is the concern about the government right now? What it says, basically, I'm gonna try to read basically what has been said. Okay, I will try to translate in English what it says. Basically says, in order to guarantee that the right of having a property, and in order to avoid any like speculation. Obviously, the words that they were said is regarding the in order to eliminate the speculations on the demand. He also said that areas like Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, Malaga, Alicante, Balearic Islands are those areas that are having an impact on the visa, on the golden visa, and this is why it's creating like a let's say an inflation or more demand in order to increase prices, and obviously to eliminate the access to young people. This is what is being said. I do not agree on that, but this is what is being said by the president. Also, these cities, and probably normally is Madrid and Barcelona, there are cities that are facing a highly stressed as a housing market. What it looks like is difficult or almost impossible to find normal house for those who live and work there and pay the taxes every day. We'll go through the tax situation about the golden visa as well. And he says also this is not a model of a country that we want to focus on. This is a speculative investment in housing, because it is a model that leads us, and we use the word, to disaster, and above that gives inequality as a result of young people cannot have access to buy houses, and obviously cannot have access to create families in this case. Okay, what does the experts, and I will just read some of them, says about that? Well, basically and let's go through just the year 2023. In the property market transactions were around 640,000 purchase. So an offer and demand agrees, a purchase agreement, and it is 640,000 transactions. According to the figures I have to say that I've seen in different issues, different database, and I've tried to check Instituto Nacional de Estadística, which is the public, but it gives us a different statistics, I have to say, but it looks like it is really around less than 0.1% of the impact of the transactions that at the end up into a golden visa application and a golden visa submission. So at the end, very low rate of properties that are bought, very, very low rate, are at the end has an impact on the golden visa, and the experts will have to say if this is an impact. In my opinion, obviously, it has no impact at all. And it is not just said by myself, also by Idealista, which is one of the biggest platforms in Spain, says that obviously the Spanish housing's problem, it is not caused obviously by the golden visa program. It is just like many housing market happens, is like the demand is because the demand is obviously in Spain is having a big demand more and more because of many factors. I'm going to say that, but obviously that demand increase obviously the prices, which has nothing to do with like 10 years ago, which like more than 10 years ago, it was like a increase on prices, like a boom, real estate boom that we had. Nothing to do now. It's increasingly in some areas more than some other ones, obviously, but it's because of the demand. The 640,000 transactions last year, as I said. Also, one of the agencies that talk about financial and wealth advice, it says that this announcement is being done because it just show a good impression because of elections that has happened regionally right now in the Euskadi, in País Vasco, and now it's going to be in Catalonia as well, and then also in the European Union, as I understand. So it is like there is no speculation at all. It's been said by the experts. We have from 2013, until today's 11 years, it is around, the database says between 5,000 and 8,000. This is what I've read. Transactions, which is very, very low. It's almost 0.1% of the transactions. And there are some other countries that has eliminated, like Ireland, like Portugal has also changed it, UK in 2022. And what also, and just to finalize and leave the other speakers also to speak about this, the announcement also said that it's going to be instructed to the Ministry of Housing, Ministerio de Vivienda, to make a report. I mean, they are going to make now a report, which will take, I understand, some months, to make a report in order to argue in favor about the speculation of the property, which is going to be difficult to argue on that. It's going to be instructed a report in order to say how is affecting the golden visa on the. Hello?
I think Bay Radio just joined us. Pedro,
okay.
We're live. Okay. Hello, Carl. Can you hear? Can you listen?
Hello?
I think it was the radio that just joined us, and this is the things of home being live.
Yes, what I was saying is that at the end, it's an instruction. It's been made, so it will take some months in order to have this report. And once we have this report, obviously, it will happen in some areas, some timing in order to approve something about the investment on property, because really has been said about the property, nothing to do with the rest of the golden visa investments, but it's about this. So at this time, and I've read the news about 12 days ago, and now it's nothing new, nothing at all new about this. Ignacio.
Right. Well, thank you, Pedro, for the introduction. Thank you very much. I think we've got Carl from Bay Radio and Moody. Moody, Carl, can you hear it, or is you having technical problems? We cannot hear you now. No, it's been difficult. Okay, we'll just move on.
I think we're there with you now. How's that?
All
Is
right,
that better?
hello. Yes, it's better. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
A few issues then this afternoon, I'm afraid, there with the link for us. But we're with you now, Ignacio. You're in the midst of the seminar today about the golden visa, we understand.
That's correct. That's correct. Pedro just started with a presentation on where we are. And I wonder, we cannot see you. We can hear you properly, Carl. Do you have any questions from the floor, from the audience that you would like to start before we just pass on to Michael and Jose Ramon? Because I know you are busy and you are just in a break, aren't you?
We're mid-program, but not to worry about it. We're quite happy to join you, Ignacio. I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday as well. We do actually, yes. On this specific question, George and Helen want to know what happens with people who already have a golden visa once their 3 years are up.
Pedro, would you like to take this one?
Yeah, obviously the rights are acquired in this term. Obviously, we don't know is what is going to be approved by the government. In my opinion, is going to be left obviously as an investment and maintain the investment. We don't know is what will happen about the renewal, the following renewal. So whenever it happens and ends up the time of period of authorization of residency because of an investment, and we don't know what will happen, but as I said, we still have to wait so many months, I would say, maybe more than... I was speaking with Ignacio, and I think this is going to be like really, is like something probably will be avoided, and no one will speak about this probably in years, or maybe before the following elections in 3 years. I don't know. I mean, it's something that we do not know, but... I will have to say a piece of mind about people that has an investment on golden visa, visa or authorization for being resident. In some way, the ones who are already resident will have no problem in order to acquire residency at all, no problem with that. There will be another kind of residency in order to get it. The other ones that get the visa or get the authorization to be residents but are not real resident, then they may have to obviously to be able to make another kind of applications on getting residency or visa in order to enter in Spain. We have to identify that those ones who acquire properties apply for golden visa but are not residents, and those ones who really are residents. So in my opinion, obviously still we don't know, but those ones who already acquired the rights will be the same until the renewal. And then we don't have a crystal ball, but I presume that we'll have some period of time in order to adapt this.
Okay, thank you for that, Pedro. Michael, would you like to say something to Carl as well, and Bay Radio and Costa Blanca here?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a practical point of view, let me sort of just explain what we're telling our clients at the moment, because obviously, because the investment, the valid investment is any investment made since 2013. In our case, there are many of our clients, historical clients, that have made an investment that would qualify them for the golden visa. And they've sort of been thinking about it for the last 7 or 8 years. Shall we do a golden visa? Shall we not do a golden visa? And suddenly, with the announcement of Pedro Sanchez the other day, everyone has remembered that, wow, we really do want a golden visa. And suddenly the desire for the golden visa has increased as it sort of seems as it's going to slip through their fingers. So what I can say about this is that basically, if you have made the investment, I mean, the golden visa really is fantastic because it allows you free access to the whole of the Schengen area. It doesn't make you a tax resident in Spain, even though you will become a tax resident in Spain if you spend more than 6 months a year. But basically, it's all favorable. Okay, so basically what I'd say is that if you have made the investment, you've made an investment of more than 500,000 euro since 2013 in property, I would run towards obtaining a golden visa. That's what people are doing. People now are all calling us and calling you, suddenly saying, we want our application to go in, immediately. We'll do everything really quickly. Now, for those people that say, Michael, well, should I buy, I really want a golden visa. I haven't bought a property yet. Should I buy a property? Can you guarantee I'm still going to get a golden visa? No, we don't want to be responsible for that. Even though I agree, it could be that this goes on for months now. Nothing happens, but we don't know. So if you've already made the investment, jump in and request your golden visa immediately. If you haven't made the investment, it's your risk, but it is possible that it will still be around in months' time. But we just don't know. Lots of people are calling us and say, "Well, Michael, surely you must know something." Nobody knows anything, and this is the proof because you're in the same situation as us. We just know what the president has said. But there is suspiciously there is an regional election going on in the north of Spain, and this is like a sort of pro-left-wing move to keep them happy. So it could be, we don't know whether it will follow through or not. But I also, to those clients that are calling that have applied for the golden visa but haven't got one yet, don't worry. There's no chance that the application is going to be turned down simply because the law changes. Your application is already in. You'll be fine. What happens on the renewal? Well, like you, I say the same thing. I don't know for certain, but I'd be very surprised if it wasn't all protected by granny laws that protect those situations. So that's it in a nutshell. From a practical point of view, I would just immediately request one if you have got all the ducks lined up and you've made the investment and you just need a couple of other things like, if you've got the main thing, which is the investment in place, I would go ahead and apply for one.
Okay, thank you, Michael. I don't know if Jose Ramon wants to share with Carl something about, because the golden visa is not only about the property, it is investments as well. And bond. I don't know if you want to go a little bit, Jose Ramon, about what kind of shares or how can they, because I don't really think the president was very focused on the rest. He was focused on property, but he never mentioned he will get away with the golden visa if you want to invest a million euros or 2 million euros in public debt or shares. What do you think, Jose Ramon?
Yes, it's true that the Spanish government offers the possibility of investing not only in real estate, but also in the Spanish stock market. And you can invest, for example, 2 million euros in public debt, that's to say, state bonds or government bonds, which nowadays are yielding a good profit ranging from 3.4 to 3.7. For example, the government bonds to 6 months are yielding 3.6. So the bonds to 7 years are almost 3.7, which is well doing. They're doing remarkably well. There's another possibility of investing 1 billion euros in shares, that's to say equities traded in the Spanish stock market, of course. the investment must be made in Spanish companies. They're yielding a profit of more or less the same, about 4%. I just quote, for example, the shares of Banco Santander, which now yield a profit of dividend of 4.2%, and the metallurgical sector is also yielding a good profit of about 4.2%, and the real estate is also profitable, which now have a yield of about the same, more or less the same percent. It's about 4.3%. And
Jose Ramon, I think Carl needs to go. Carl, I think you need to really go because you only have a break of 10 minutes. Is that correct?
That's right. But
Yes.
many thanks for your time today, gentlemen, and look forward to catching up with you and talking about this a little bit further on Wednesday in the third hour of the program. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. See you soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Jose Ramon, yeah, you carry on because Carl needed to go live.
That webinar
on radio.
taking place right now, the Pellicer and Heredia web.
Right, over to you, Jose Ramon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, there's left so very little to say, but I think it's important to highlight the possibility that the Spanish regulation is protective. That's to say, it's only allowed the investments in the stock market, officially traded shares, and also for more risky investors have the possibility of investing in usual or current investment funds, as well as in the so-called risk capital funds, which involve high risk investments, which of course offer high reward. That's a possibility. I just mentioned, for example, that the Bank of Santander now has a fund which is yielding a 32% annualized profit in 3 years, which is too much. Well, perhaps there's an exception, but Bank of Bilbao, the so-called BBVA, have funds very profitable, which yield from 10% to 14% annually, which is not bad. And last, it's important to have in consideration the possibility of investing 1 million euros just in bank deposits in cash.
That's good, Jose Ramon. Well, that's a good option for people who probably are saying, well, I might not buy a property in Spain, but I will do some investments. So that's another option for the €1 million investment on shares, as you said, reasonable, and 2 million on public debt as well. Michael, Pedro, you haven't heard anything about removing that requirement, have you? From it was only concentrated on property, isn't it?
No, only property.
That's right. Only property.
Only
I mean,
property.
there was nothing said about the rest of the investments.
Right. We've got Rafael here, Aweda. He's in as well. Just hello. He's contacting us from Madrid as well. I don't know whether he's got some comments as well about it. I know Madrid, in the center of Madrid, is very hot as well on property, but I don't know if he's got a different feeling on that area. I know that in Madrid, in the center, is always more than 500. So I don't really think Michael and Pedro, Jose Ramon will change anything because people who wants to invest in the center of Madrid will carry on doing so. I don't really think, and I think, and I agree with you, Pedro and Michael, that it's more an election thing. I would think it might happen, but we never know with politics. One day they tell you one thing, and a different day they probably do a different one. So we just need to be cautious here. Yeah, Michael, yeah?
Yeah, I just want to point something out, though, because the responsibility of all this makes me tremble and worry, because we're getting so many people asking us, if I buy a property, will I be able to get the golden visa? And it just worries me that even though in principle, I think this is going to take months or may not even happen, it's a no-brainer. They've already bought the property. The investment's already been done. But I wouldn't want anyone to come back to me in 7 months' time telling me that they've only bought this property because of the golden visa, and now they haven't got a golden visa. And it was my fault because I sort of said, you know, they will get a golden visa. So we need to make this, I'd like to make that very, very clear. I see someone's asking here, if we on in timestamp 5:17, if we buy a property for €500,000 before they change the law, is there a risk that they won't approve the golden visa? Of course there is. There's a risk because we don't know. So basically, what will make you safe is having the request in before they do away with the golden visa. They're buying the property. If you buy a property and then they do away with the golden visa before you've applied for it, the fact that you've bought the property will not help you at all. And then Ignacio and Pedro, I don't know if you've got the answer to this. I didn't know what to say. I've had clients asking me this sort of question. The question that they're asking on timestamp 1726, where people that have bought under construction and they haven't had the completion yet, what happens to them? I just don't know the answer. We've got 2 or 3 emails with that question. And I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if you guys have studied it and have worked it out, but I don't know what to say.
Well, the situation, Michael, here, I mean, obviously, from the day someone like the president says these things, we need to all be cautious. You know why? Because the law could be changed anytime during now. And as Pedro said, probably until a new elections come up, you know? So we really don't know. Now, how long did it take the normal visa to be approved? It took a little bit of a nightmare, you know, it took a long time to publish that. Now, do I think it's going to take some time? Yes. Now, we don't know, but we expect time. Now, if people are applying for golden visa now, they have no guarantee and nobody could give them any guarantee at all. So my advice or recommendation is give a try, do your best, hurry up. But what about if you're going to buy a property just because you want a golden visa, then there is no certainty. There is no certainty here because you might end up you get stuck with paperwork and you might be late on the submission. So there is not really a guarantee whether the time you're going to lodge it, when are you going to get it. And so if you're going to buy a property anyway, it's worth trying, as Michael said, is worth trying and submitting for the golden visa because you're going to invest it on property anyway. So I think it's a must, Michael. If they're going to do it anyway, buy anyway, and they don't do it because of the golden visa, they rather do it sooner rather than later, you know. But again, nobody has a guarantee. Nobody could guarantee that you're going to get it. If you're really buying the property because of it, you might look into options as Jose Ramón, is said about the €1 million or the other, because he never said anything about that. He only concentrated on property. So still, we don't know, but probably there are different options, you know? So some flexibility. Now we've got on the panel question, what happened? What any other options we have? Well, we have the nomad visa. We've got the non-lucrative visa. We've got, if you come as a tourist, obviously you don't need a visa in some countries. You've got a work visa. So there are other options. Now, the golden visa, to my own thinking, is one of the best ones because it gives you flexibility being tax resident and non-tax resident. And only because of an investment, you get your visa, and normally you get it in 20 working days from the application. So I'm more of the opinion to encourage people to give a try. And as Michael said, with no guarantees, because as I said, the politics might just change their mind and change the law. But I still think, Michael, it will take time. It will take time.
I think it's the most likely scenario as well. That's what I think. But I also just think I'd encourage anyone that's already made the investment during these last few years to not think about it any longer and apply for a golden visa because basically it's a great deal if you've already made the investment.
Right, Pedro, would you like to add anything because we're having a lot of questions? And probably you will like to run through them.
About that question that I've read, I'm reading in the chat right now, and what it says about when someone has made an investment, obviously is still on waiting for the completion in order to pay the rest of the money and then complete the purchase because the property is on building, it's a new building in this case. And obviously said, I mean, one of the requirements is like, okay, you put all the money, excluding the taxes, excluding all the costs, just putting the money you're going to pay to the seller, which is the principal, obviously the price, and if it's a new property, in this case, is a value-add tax also included. And that money has to be blocked, frozen, and you cannot, has not to be available to you. And obviously, whenever the license comes, then it's paid directly to the seller. So it's like a straightforward payment in order to, or showing or prove that a straightforward payment to the seller in order to show that you have the money in order to make the final investment, and you get the visa while the process of building is happening. And the problem with that, and I think that this is what Michael wanted to show, and I wish I could have right now a clear answer, is about the banks, because it's been asked to us, and this is something that I have to do like a template on to give to banks. And I have to say some of them are, and one specifically has been said today. I will not say the name of a bank, but it's been said, okay, give us a template on doing this. I mean, a template in order to say, well, this money, I mean, in order to show them, and it's blocked, frozen in order to be given to the seller. This is brand new. It has, in our 10-year experience, Ignacio, we haven't done anyone, and I have spoken with some of the lawyers, like this case, like in order to, okay, during the process of building, to apply for and put all the money, the total money of the purchase into a bank account, frozen, without any availability, in order to be paid to the seller whenever it's finished, and receive a 6 months visa. And still there's no experience. I don't know if some visa has been done during these 10 years given by the public office. But right now, the banks do not have experience. Banks do not even know how to make the template, don't even know how to do the document in order to put all the money in a bank account owned by the principal who is going to be the application. And for those reasons, this time we need to get a clear situation in the following days, weeks about this.
Mm-hmm. Michael, what are you saying? Yeah,
I'm going to answer timestamp 1731. I'm going to answer because I suspect Ian is my client, so I'm going to answer. And if there's anything wrong with my answer, please go ahead and tell me. Okay, so Ian has various questions. So the first one, and please just clarify anything that you think that we're not getting right. How likely is this to become law? Well, we've sort of gone through this before. I don't know what point Ian's joined it. We don't know. All we know is what the president has said is that he wants to get rid of it, but it hasn't happened yet, and we don't know in reality what's going to happen. How long is the parliamentary process for this to become a law? Okay, this is important because, in my opinion, if they wanted to, they could basically approve it within a week, because they could do it by decreto ley instead of it going through a majority in parliament. So if they wanted to, what they call, Ian's saying here, the parliamentary procedure could actually be really, really quick if they wanted to. Doesn't mean they are going to want to. I'm just saying that is a possibility. Does the process apply to property or all means of obtaining? Okay, I think we all agree that it only applies to the property. Now, and this other one, question 4, and I think maybe he's just joined, that's why he didn't hear the answer before. If someone has a golden visa, obtains one before its abolition, will they still be able to renew, or are renewals being discontinued too? My opinion is that if you get the golden visa, you'll be able to renew it because you'll be protected by granny laws. What do you think about this, Ignacio or Pedro?
Pedro, do you want to go ahead? Because I agree. I agree that if somebody has already got a golden visa, definitely they've got an acquired rights, and they were in a position where that was an option. They made a decision, and I will find very difficult to believe that they will say, "Well, I'm sorry, you cannot renew your golden visa." Now, again,
I feel they could even. I mean, if they did that, people could sue the government, because people have even purchased the property because of the golden visa. So I think I really think that that's almost impossible, because that they will allow the renewals as
okay. That's two scenario that they just stop the renewal, so they cannot be continued, which is everyone understand that this is a very extreme scenario and it's not going to happen. Obviously, the scenario that, well, maybe you can get one renewal, maybe you can get two renewals. Well, the other scenario, or maybe that you will, as much as you maintain the investment, you will get the scenario as you got the right when you make the investment and apply for the golden visa. So you never lose the right that you already have, or maybe it's a transition period of a big one. I will say that maybe a couple of renewals in order to lose that right in order to not be able to renew, but will not be. I mean, this is what everyone understands. Will not be that at the time that is approved the law, no one will be able to renew that. That's very. I mean, no one understands that. It's really one of the principles of law that we understand will not be broken on this.
Jose Ramon, would you like to add anything extra, or you prefer to focus more on the other side of the golden visa? Just over to you. If you want to pick up one of the questions, or to just add anything to what Pedro and Michael said.
No, I have nothing to add. I just wanted some minutes before just to highlight the financial aspects and the variety of financial instruments, public debt, equity shares. Just wanted to remark that there is a great variety of investments, profitable investments. So it's not a bad business to get the golden visa as well.
Yeah, I think, I don't know what Michael, Pedro, you think, but this is a little bit more publicity. That's number one. That's what I think. Otherwise, as Michael said, they could publish it straight away. If they're really serious on it, they will just publish it straight away, or they will start a new law.
Yeah,
you know?
There's one thing, Ignacio, that as I said, right now it's going to be announced. Nothing has been eliminated, nothing has changed at all. But what it looks like is being instructed the Ministry of Vivienda, Housing Ministry, in order to make a report. Okay, in that report, everyone understands that it's not going to say anything affecting the property housing, nothing like that, because of the statistics is ridiculous, the percentage that at the end the properties are added to the golden visa. But maybe, and I think I have read it, that someone called Rafael, which I think is good, is a good commentary, because maybe they say, okay, well, in order to be sure that will not affect on this, will be increased to the minimum investments, like deposits, like investments like 1 million euros investment in property. So we will be sure that will not affect at all to the young access to housing. So they will find probably an argument, and maybe it's this one, in order to create, which is the minimum investment on property, maybe increase from 500,000 euros to 1 million euros as an example. I think that's a good point from Rafael, it's been said. And that maybe is increased because of a minimum investment, as at this time it's a big difference between properties or the rest of the golden visa.
That's good. Michael, would you like to just run through any other question that you've got in the panel or from your client? Or, well, the alternative, Pedro, Jane is asking, hello, Jane. Jane is asking, for those wishing to become or to be resident in Spain, what are the alternatives to golden visa? Pedro, do you want to spend 1 minute on different
obviously
topics?
There are different kind of authorization for to be resident. The golden visa is a visa, the beginning, and then also could be authorization to be resident. Visa is given for 1 year. You make an investment of 500,000 euros, you get a visa, or maybe once you are here, because can be done personally once you are here in Spain, and make the application, and you get the authorization to be resident for 3 years. Golden visa allows you to stay in Spain 1 day or maybe 365 days. If you spend more than 183 days, then you become tax resident. There are other kind of residency authorization to be resident in Spain. For those who are retired, that we call a non-working visa or non-lucrative visa, that you will be able to get residency in Spain. Obviously, you will be resident, you will be tax resident, and the process is a little bit more, let's say, complex. No, it's not really complex. It takes more time. You have to apply in the Spanish consulate in the country where you are resident, and then you have to wait some time. It's like we always say between 3, 4, maybe 5 months from the beginning of a process until the end. And you become resident in Spain. You don't have to make an investment. You will become resident in Spain, and you will also become tax resident in Spain. Golden visa, and also, well, for the non-working visa, also you get all the rights accordingly to as a resident, as I am, as a golden visa or any other kind of residency. Then we have also the nomad visa, Ignacio, for those who are still working and can work in Spain remotely. Because we have many clients that say, okay, well, I'm still in the time of work, I could work with my computer in Spain. Well, right now we have a visa in order to get this visa in Spain with we call it nomad. You work remotely in Spain, and obviously it has a really good benefit also on taxes in case that you want. But this is not just for the nomad visa, for all the kind of visa or residence in Spain if you come from outside in Spain, to obtain a benefit on taxes on income, that or salary that you get, and not to be subject to all the kind of income that you may have around the world. So it's a non-working visa. You have a nomad visa in case that you are able to work remotely because your company that you work or the work you do, you can do it by a computer. Also, there are different kind of like a residency. You can the company where you work has a base in Spain, can be also moved like always. You can make a starting project like a self-employment also as a consultant, and then you start applying for that. But those ones obviously in many occasions get more time in order to obtain the residency. But it's golden visa is good. It's an investment, perfect. But there are obviously many kind of residency authorizations.
Okay, Pedro, I've got some questions here. Actually, John is asked, I don't know if you did cover this, but do you see higher taxes on property rentals or restrictions on vacation rentals coming? 714, Michael. What do you think? I wouldn't think so. Why to see higher taxes on property rentals or restrictions on vacation rentals? I don't expect that neither in Andalusia, Michael, do you?
No.
There's nothing on the books.
Exactly. And there is one thing that is still, I mean, if you are resident, I mean, non-resident in Spain, but resident in a country which is non-European Union country, and you own a property, let's put an example, someone who lives in Canada or in the UK, and is based and resident and tax resident in Canada or UK, and has a property in Spain, and the property is being rented, then will be paid 24% gross amount of income. If he's resident in a European country, it will be 19% of the net amount. There is a difference on that. We expect that in the future this will be changed and will be equally those who are non-residents and residents in a non-European Union country to those who are non-residents and residents in European Union countries.
Right, that's good to know. Now, different questions. I think here Caroline is saying, if we buy a property for 500,000 before they change the law, is there a risk that they won't approve the golden visa? Well, we don't know, Caroline, what is going to happen, you see. If you buy a property for 500,000, is because you really want the property. Now, the fact of being entitled, I think most of the people here, and I don't know your experience with Michael and Pedro, when people decide to buy a property, which is nice to have an extra present here, which is the golden visa. But I don't see people just buying properties because of the golden visa, because I don't know, what is your experience, Michael? I think.
Yeah, well, in my case in particular, and of course that doesn't mean much because of the thing, but in our case, it's like when it also comes back to what the president says, that lots of these golden visas were being granted to Chinese and to Russians, etc. In my particular case, all my golden visas are for British, Americans, and I've had one Australian. So British and American has been the main thing for us. And most cases, it was like an added bonus more than anything else. But we have had the odd client that for which with the golden visa was very important. But normally it's just been a little sweetener to the transaction, which they would have done in any case.
But Pedro, you commented the other day about a small percentage of the people did buy properties, small properties as investments. So some of them And I remember you saying that was not a very high percentage of people, for example, buying 5 properties of 100,000 euros.
Yeah, I mean,
can you explain your
because the announcement is being done because it's been said that it's getting some impact on the properties to be accessed by young people and families. Well, Golden Visa is not just focused on apartments or flats or villas, it's also focused on land, it's also focused on commercial. I'm reading right now some commentary by Cameron. Obviously, as I said, one commentary by Rafael has been said, okay, it could be one of the points in order to increase the minimum investment from 500,000 euros to 1 million euros. And
that won't happen.
That is something also is being said by it's a commentary, it's a good one. Also, what about these areas? Is maybe because, well, maybe Madrid and Barcelona set some specific areas on those neighborhoods. Maybe it's being said, okay, well, we increased for 1 million euros, and maybe those areas, I don't know, I mean, some other limit, a specific limit. Well, that could be also a point. What about commercial properties? What about land? And what I said, what about not to be able to buy, like, say, 20 properties of 50,000 euros? Some things like that maybe will probably will argue in favor of this kind of announcement, even though it still will not have any impact at all, but obviously will be some criteria in order to organize a minimum investment correctly.
Mm-hmm. Right, we've got some question here. Jane is saying, what are the restrictions of a non-lucrative visa, in particular relating to free movement? Well, the non-lucrative visa here, the requirement, Jane, is that you need to be more than 6 months in Spain. However, the golden visa, you could come in and out as you wish with no limits. Okay, so there is 2 different type of visas. I mean, I would say people who qualifies for golden visa will qualify for non-lucrative visa for sure, because the requirements are very similar. What is the difference? Is that the non-lucrative visa doesn't allow you to work. 2, you need to stay more than 6 months.
Yeah, Ignacio, very important. I think they become, if you get a non-lucrative visa and spend more than 6 months, you'll become a tax resident in Spain, have to pay tax.
Correct. So it's a big difference. It's a big difference.
Yeah, obviously the golden visa is gives you much more options than the non-lucrative visa if you can get it.
Yeah, that's correct. And so for some of you guys that are listening here, probably it's very individual and very subjective here, you know, so it's important you organize a video conference with your lawyer, with us, with any of your confidants, to see your specific situation, because for some of you, the golden visa might be an option, but probably you qualify with a non-lucrative visa and you still don't have any issue becoming tax resident, or even not being able to work, at least for the first 5 years. So that's something to consider. And as Pedro said, there are different type of visas. So I mean, I'm not saying not to lodge it, the golden visa, just sit for other options and get the ones that is best. Pedro, do you have any other questions in the panel here?
Well, I can see one question by if there is any tax relief on receipts from investment in public debt or equities, and is this investment included in 720? Well, 720 is when you are resident in Spain, a tax resident in Spain. If you are tax resident in Spain, it will have to be report whatever investment you have outside of Spain. This is a public Spanish debt, which is inside the territory of Spain, so that do not have to be reported. At the end, whenever you have an income on that Spanish debt, whenever you get income in the future about this, then you will have to report and pay accordingly to, if you are resident, tax resident, you accordingly to that income, and if you are non-resident, exactly the same, according to the tax rate of a non-resident.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Michael, yeah.
Yeah, so also if we go to timestamp 1717, if we buy a property for 500,000 euro before they change the laws, blah, blah, blah. Now, just to point out that the most common mistake we see on the application for golden visas is people from the UK, the States, Australia, places where they're married in separation of assets, they buy a property jointly of just over 500,000 euro. You will not be entitled to the golden visa, but you have to buy it just in one name and put the other person down as a dependent. Otherwise, you'd have to buy a property. So they say, if we buy a property for 500,000, you wouldn't be entitled to a golden visa. You'd have to buy property. If it's if it's both of you, it would have to be worth more than €1 million, unless you're from a country where they've got community of assets as the marital system.
Well, that's very good advice, Michael, and that common and advice saves a lot of money to people, because unfortunately, I heard from clients, from people, that they used somebody on the conveyancing, they didn't know about these things. They made a mistake of putting the joint, and then when they try to apply for the golden visa, they don't qualify. They need to transfer their share, or I think they need to just make a special title to transfer one person's share to the other. And it brings a lot of cost and money. I think Pedro is dealing with one case of transferring shares from one to the other, and is not ideal. So very important advice when you buy, just make sure that you qualify. Okay. Now I have a question here from John. Hi, John. I think you are asking questions probably for Jose Ramón. 543. Is there any tax relief on receipts from investment in public debt or equities? And is this investment included on the 720? Well, Jose Ramón, do you want to take this one? Because 720, I agree that you will need to report it, because if the investment is more than 50,000, well, before you go, investment in Spain does not need to be reported on the 720, John. Okay, so don't worry for that, because if you do the investment on public debt or on shares, there is no obligation for you to do the 720. It's only for money abroad. And with regards to tax relief on receipts from investment in public debt, I really don't know what he means, Jose Ramón, or I don't know if anybody in the panel knows what John means with the receipts from investment in public debt. I don't know if he's asking like an allowance or a reduction.
I don't think that that question has any sense at all, because there are two completely different things. One thing is to comply with the requirements to obtain the golden visa, and quite a different thing is a tax relief. There's no relation.
There is no tax relief, no relation, yeah. No, the tax relief, you won't get any tax relief because of the investment. Okay, so I don't think you will pay less tax on that. The golden visa is more about immigration. The 720, you don't need to do, because the investment is in Spain, John. So if you invest more than 50,000 euros abroad, you'll have to declare it. But since you are investing, the golden visa, what they want is for the foreigners to invest in Spain and generate some work or business here in Spain. So tax relief, we don't expect to have any tax relief. The only thing on the wealth tax, Michael, I know in Andalusia, the wealth tax, you've got I don't know if you want to go a little bit about the wealth tax in Andalusia, Michael?
Well, in Andalusia, we've been very lucky. They've done away with wealth tax, which in many regions is on assets above 700,000 euro. Worldwide, if you're resident, and just in Spain, if you're a non-resident, with different reliefs, etc., in different regions. But in Spain, they've done away completely with the regional wealth tax. What we have got though in Andalusia now, like the rest of the Spain, is the infamous solidarity tax. The only thing is, the difference is that only affects people that have assets above 3 million euro. So if it's a couple, it's 6 million euro. So it doesn't affect that many people, while the wealth tax did affect obviously quite a few, because it was assets above 700,000 euro. I think in the Valencia region, I think you've still got wealth tax, but it looks like they're going to get rid of it as well, I presume.
Yeah, actually, we're waiting, Michael. This is, again, with politics, we're waiting for them to remove the wealth tax, because they say they will remove it. The inheritance tax is being removed, but the wealth tax, we still have it. So going back to that, John, obviously with that golden visa and investment on that will qualify so far, and the tax you'll need to declare will be wealth tax, okay, unless they remove that. But sometimes I recommend you to do tax simulation, because sometimes you think or expect that it's going to be a high tax, probably not, doesn't necessarily is going to go a high tax. It will go, you've got allowance, and after the allowance, it goes for 2.5%, if I remember, a sliding scale. So, yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I was going to think, well, talking about inheritance tax, I'm very surprised that the Ministry of Tourism isn't doing more to advertise Spain as a great place for inheritance tax when the beneficiaries are going to be children and spouse. I mean, at the moment in the Balearics, the Valencia region, and Andalusia, also Madrid, but it doesn't effectively that many Spanish. We've got a fantastic deal, inheritance tax for spouse and descendants, and yet it seems that nobody in the government's making any effort to actually advertise this. So they've suffered the loss. They're charging less inheritance tax, and yet they're not actually doing anything with it. When some of our clients get, they're extremely happy when we tell them, oh, in Spain for your children there's going to be no inheritance tax or almost nothing at all, and they're surprised. Oh wow, that's fantastic. Well, they've already made the investment. Does nobody go around, sort of inform? They do all this publicity about Spain. Well, why don't they add this into the mix, especially with Baleares, the Valencia region, and Andalusia, where we've got such a good deal.
Michael, it's because there are different political parties. The government and Valencia, Madrid.
Oh yes, that's good. Yeah, but at least at the regional government level, they could. That's true. Yeah, the national tax office, national government is not going to help advertise.
It has no sense anyway.
It has no sense. It's true.
It has no
yeah,
sense.
there is no. It's not a national thing. It is a community thing. So probably, I guess, in our community, we'll go and sell all the beauties. And probably Andalusia, Michael, but
yeah, it could also be that the regions that have reduced inheritance tax, Baleares, Valencia, and Andalusia, may be worried about making too much of a thing about it, an advertisement, and still in case they make the national tax office really angry with them, and they end up cancelling it all like they've tried to do with the wealth tax reductions.
Right, before we go, Claire was asking, would it be better applying for a self-employment visa? Well, Claire, the thing, I mean, if you're going to qualify for Golden Visa, as I said, I recommend you to go for it, but if you're going to just commit yourself and buy the property anyway for that sort of money. So anybody investing a property in their name for 500,000, obviously no mortgages on top or against the property, okay? We didn't mention, but no charges, free of charges. I encourage people to try, probably it's a last call, Michael, it's a last call for Golden Visa. Absolutely. You never know, but you're the one who are going to benefit from it. Now, Claire was saying, is there any other options? Yeah, well, the work visa is difficult, Claire. I mean, it's not impossible, we've done it, but the work visa, it brings a lot more hassle and paperwork. I encourage people to explore the normal visa for two reasons. One, it's very, very good from a tax point of view, right? So you will only pay here 24%, and they allow you to work remotely. But you need to qualify with the specific requirements, okay? You need to be working for a company that's been more than 1 year established, 3 months relationship with them. You have to be non-resident before the application. The company, it will be ideal if, because of your relocation, could register their social security here in Spain. So it's got a lot of good things. So for whoever could fit into the requirements of the normal visa, is a normal visa that is a complex one for us because it depends on 3 departments: the tax, social security, and immigration. So we've got 3 departments in our law firm for it. But I think it's very, very good because you've got 5 years plus the application year for a special tax regime, which that's even probably a very good option. Now, could Golden Visa apply for the same tax regime? Yes, but the Golden Visa, it's got different. You don't need to work, Michael, were you going to say something else, or?
Yes, well, I was going to remind people of something that Pedro always reminds us in every single webinar, and he's right, so that's why I never forget the date. And that is that with the Golden Visa, it doesn't have to be a new investment. you can take all the investments that you've made in Spain in real estate since 2013. I can't remember what the exact cutoff date was in 2013. Pedro probably knows it. But anyway, from 2013 to now. So I'm saying that because, as you mentioned, it may be the last call. So there are a lot of people out there that have actually already made those investments that would allow them to request the golden visa. So I would definitely take a look at your title deed, see what you purchased for, see if you qualify. And if you do, I would contact your lawyer perhaps to handle the conveyance and say, hey, do I qualify for the golden visa? Because if you did, it may be worth putting in the application.
Good comments. Right. Okay. Again, for those who are interested for golden visa, I put here in the channel here in the website here in the chat more information about golden visa. Now, for those who might qualify for different type of visa, I would recommend you to explore it and to organize video conference with either Michael, Jose Ramon, Pedro, or myself to take it further. I think it's important to be well informed and advised. I think I'm a bit brave, Michael, because I'm of the opinion to give a try before it's too late for those who qualify, you know, because it's for their own benefit. And I don't know, are we missing anything, Pedro, that you would like to tell the audience about these updates from the government?
Well, nothing else. Not all the update has been made.
Nothing said, yeah?
A lot of time, nothing said. So let's keep going with this. If everyone has already made an investment and wanted to, was thinking about doing it, do it now. And those one who were thinking about doing it in the near future to buy, well, it's something that is still there. It's nothing wrong to do it. And obviously there are some other options apart from the golden visa in order to become resident in Spain.
Well, and on top of that, as I said, if you're still not sure about buying a property, but you've got the money and the funds and you want to give a try, doing with the funds, it will be much faster because you don't need to complete the notary. You don't need to register the land register, which is taking normally an average of 2 to 3 months, you know, the conveyancing process. And probably that's an easy one. And the money is always yours. You could always cash it back if they remove the golden visa. So that's another option, Jose Ramon, that probably is good advice as well, if they want to play safe and still get the golden visa. The good benefit from the golden visa is that they will have husband, wife, and children not legal age. Okay, it's very hard to get the parents because they really need to be dependent on that. Okay, well, sorry we tried to squeeze you so much information today. Thank you, Michael, Jose Ramon, Pedro, for your time on a Monday, first day of the week. So I wish you all the best this week and hopefully join you very soon in 2 weeks' time. I'll pass you on to Juanfran and see you in 2 weeks. Over to you, Juanfran. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
You're new to Spain and in need of legal help. When you are in a country that is foreign to you, you want someone who speaks your language, who understands you, and who will have an answer to all immigration and nationality matters. At Pellicer and Heredia, you can count on a specialist in international law and a multidisciplinary team that can help you handle all the necessary formalities. Do you want to take advantage of the Golden Visa program? We will help you obtain the residence visa for investors through the purchase of a property or via a business project that you're looking to develop in Spain. Do you need a residence permit? Obtain it for non-profit purposes or through family, work, study, research and training purposes. If, on the other hand, what you are looking for is a renewal, we take care of the whole process, so all you need to do is leave your fingerprint. We also deal with re-entry permits in the case that you want to leave and return to Spain. And of course, we help you obtain the certificate of registration as a European citizen, the foreigner's identity number, Spanish citizenship, and the certified translation of documents in all languages. Because at Pellicer and Heredia, we know that speaking your language is the only way to gain your confidence. Trust that we repay with 2 words: professionalism and commitment. Pellicer and Heredia, international lawyers.
Oh.